What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, we're going to watch the great Candace Owens take down a woke college feminist. Let's get into it.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. So I noticed you had a lot of thoughts on feminism. I'm a feminist, but
Totally
I
fine.
was just wondering, how do you differentiate between the extremism that exists in feminism as it does across, multiple different ideologies, but how do you differentiate between the extremism and how, feminists like me think? I don't hate men.
It's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it. It's a great question. So what you have to realize about the left when you talk about extremism is they hack words that once had real meaning, and they take them for their own nefarious goals, right? So they'll say racism, and you'll go, oh my God, no, really, racism used to exist, but now it means organizing your pantry. That's obviously not racism. That's completely ridiculous. You see something like feminism, and once upon a time, women were fighting for the right to vote. Well, now we have that. We have equal footing. And now they're using those terms. They're hiding behind the shield of feminism, and they're doing actually horrible things in society. And I blame feminists for almost every ill that we have right now because they've encouraged people not to act as a woman, and they bash men all the time. And I think that they have contributed the most to the breakdown of family in terms of an ideology. Now, for you,
answer my question.
no, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Now, for you, you're like, okay, but I actually am somebody that just believes in equality, that there should be equality between the sexes, right?
I think it's more culturally and socially, not necessarily in the realm of legality.
Sure, so I'm going to ask you, what is it socially? So you could call yourself something, right? That means that there's some fight that you have. What is it socially that you and I have as women that we don't have that men do? Why is there a need for you to be a feminist?
I think as women, we are undervalued when it comes to our intelligence. I think people, especially for me, as a woman who, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Go ahead, let her talk.
For me, as a woman, I feel like a lot of people look at me and think I'm superficial. They think I'm vapid. They don't necessarily see that I could be intelligent, that I could speak for myself. They tend to automatically...
Guys, don't be rude. Go ahead.
I tend to get belittled a lot, and that comes from men, not necessarily women, right?
So you're saying in your personal capacity, men are belittling you, right?
All she's using here is anecdotal evidence, and I hope you're not going to try to say that men make more money and fight for the gender pay gap when you chose something like gender studies to get a degree in. I can't think of any time that you would ever think in a place of business, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're hiring people, like, oh wow, I wish we had a gender studies person. But guys, this is the precise moment that this girl messed up. Candace was taking it easy on her, and I think she's right about the crowd. I don't think people should be rude when this lady's actually asking a question, and she's being respectful. But now we're gonna watch Candace Owens put an end to this nonsense. Let's get back to the video.
But when you talk about affecting actually a social change, this might be your personal experience, but does that mean that all women are going through this, or that all women are experiencing this belittlement by men?
And see, I understand that, but I think also when I listen to you speak, and you speak on why you don't like feminism, I hear a lot of anecdotal work, and I hear a lot of personal experience, like your experience in that one class that you had, whereas I've had 5-6 classes in my gender studies courses, and I've never experienced anything
that's totally
like that.
That's totally fine.
You know what I mean?
They're
So
just
I just don't feel like it's fair to take personal
it's totally
experience
fine. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm actually talking about the real world consequences of the dangerous ideology telling women that they have to take their clothes off, that they should be on TikTok. I'm talking about real world consequences. I'm talking about literally the fact that women are no longer, like, they're by and large all climbing the corporate ladder, and that children are being ceded over to the state. So I was giving you an anecdotal example of what happened in my feminist class, but the repercussions of that are seen everywhere. What I am saying is that what I'm offering to you is not to feel like you have to give yourself an ism, right? Don't feel like you have to put yourself in a box. Don't feel like you have to put yourself into some weird social constructs. I think that what you'll find with time is that it constrains you unnecessarily. I don't have a problem with the fact if you want to identify as a feminist and you think that there is some fight that needs to be ended. I don't personally think that that's...
Is conservatism not a box any more than feminism is?
Well, saying that I have conservative principles, feminism is not being a conservative or being a liberal, right? You're talking about an ideology, right? A system you think
I would assume conservatism is also an ideology as well, is it not?
Sure. Conservatism is an ideology. These are the things that we believe. You could say that everything is an ideology. What I'm saying to you is that I would not necessarily paint yourself into a corner. You don't seem to me like you have any issues speaking up. You don't seem to me like you feel like you're constrained in any way. You're standing up here today. I would offer to you that there's never been a more remarkable time to be a woman in this society. By every statistic, we are doing better than men. That's a fact, right? Men have a higher, we are graduating at a higher rate than men. Men have higher suicide rates. That's why I said to you, despite how you're feeling, what are the real world implications that suggest to you that you are somehow beneath men? You might have a personal experience where a man
we can talk about sexual assault everywhere, in the military, in the home.
So are these the things that you're fighting to end sexual assault?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, great. You don't have to be a feminist to fight to end sexual assault.
You don't have to be,
men and women.
I agree. I don't believe you have to be.
It's a great cause.
But it's, of course, a part of the ideology. Men and women go through that. I just said to him, one of the biggest things that I give to every year is for human sex trafficking. It doesn't require to be a feminist. Now, you seem really committed to it. I've said to you since the very beginning, if you want to be a feminist girl, put it on a T-shirt, wear it, put a hashtag. I'm just telling you, don't unnecessarily put yourself into a corner, and to recognize that it has never been a greater time. I would offer it is a way better time in this society to be a woman.
What are they even fighting for at this point, the feminists? They pretty much have more rights than men, especially when it comes to laws. I'm thinking of divorce laws and child laws. And she mentioned that women are more often victims of sexual violence, domestic assault, which is true. Because if you look at all the most violent people in the world, they're going to be men, most of them. But that's not a feminist issue. That's an everybody issue. I don't think I'll find any of you who watch this video thinking that that's a good thing. If you're a wife beater, a rapist, if you hurt children in any way, I believe that you should be castrated and thrown in jail for a lifetime, hung in the center of town. I don't care. Be done with you. I think for those people, really should bring back stoning. Now, she used some anecdotal evidence, and I'm not saying this didn't happen to her, but the men that I know, that I hang out with, they treat everybody very respectfully. I personally think if I'm working with a woman, as long as you're the best person for the job, I don't care. But when they want to be represented at all levels, this DEI, they want equity. Not equality of opportunity, but equality of outcome. They want to be represented 50% at the high levels, though, in the C-suites, just because they're women. Now, there's tons of high-paying jobs out there. We've talked about this on this channel. Women just don't choose those jobs. It's something that Jordan Peterson's been talking about for decades. Men and women won't sort themselves out in the same categories if you leave them to their own accord. He likes to talk about the Scandinavia study. But when you look at stuff like nurses, which is what a lot of women go into, childcare, education, it's like 20 to 1 female to male. Doctors as well. They do really well in psychology. But about the same 20 to 1, if you look at engineering or in the STEMs, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is the high-paying jobs. And not only the high-paying jobs, they're often the more scalable jobs. It's mostly men. Now, I'm going to give you some stats here on what men have to go through, because at this point, they're just fighting for the high-paying jobs. They want power. It's all about power. It's not about equality. Working on the oil rigs, I don't remember having one woman there. I graduated university in mechanical engineering. My whole class at the beginning of year 1 had 2 females in it. We graduated, there was none, it was all males. Women won't choose these jobs. We're different as men and women. And it's quite distressing to hear that a lot of these feminists, these people on the left, are accepting the fact that there's an idea of diversity and equity that you could just map into the world, that everybody, every race, every gender should be represented equally at all levels of society. Well, why don't y'all go weld then? Jordan Peterson likes to talk about the bricklayers, the garbage men, the military, construction workers, all the outdoor work. Here are some stats for you. Men have the highest rate of suicide. 70% of the homeless are men. 75% of murder victims are men. 93% of prisoners are men. 92% of work-related deaths are men. Men receive harsher punishment than women for the same crime. Divorce court favors women. Paternity court favors women. Let's not even mention all the cases of paternity fraud that are never addressed. Men are treated more harshly in society. Men have no value. Women and children have inherent value when they're born. Men don't. So tell me, what are these feminists? And I am not somebody who is a misogynist. Actually, my favorite people in my life happen to all be women, members of my family. But these feminists, these woke liberal feminists, can go fly a kite. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash that thumbs up button if you're still there, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody.